And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Dave Didyk's our guest. Dave, recently retired opinion page editor at the Observer-Dispatch. He's been in the newspaper business for 47 years, hard to believe. 40 of those were at the Observer-Dispatch. Dave, the technology changes. I mean, I started about the same time you did in the newspaper business, and I started on a manual Royal typewriter that you had to knock the heck out of to get it to work. You had to start on a manual as well, right?
Oh yeah, it was significant changes over the course of the time in our business as well as many businesses, and some for the good, some not for the not so good, but it changed. It went from the line. I just missed linotype. They had just moved into the cold type, what they call cold type, which was the computerized stuff. But we still had to do the stories on the typewriters, and then it was transferred to keyed into those ribbons, and they fed it through a computer, and it would come out in galleys of type, and that would be waxed up on the back and pasted onto the sheets, and the plates were made, and it was quite a process.
When I started down there, they had you would type your story, and then they'd have people downstairs that would retype it, and that's how they did it.
So the linotype was still there when you were there.
Yeah. When I started, I was speaking at Utica College, your alma mater. Well, I'm trying to think of when it was. It was quite a while ago, and we got talking with the students about editing and working your story, and I mentioned about cutting and pasting. It took me a while to understand that they thought I was talking about hitting a button to cut. I was talking about cutting with scissors and pasting with a glue pot.
Right.
Very foreign to them.
Yeah, cutting and pasting today is a whole different ball game. You highlight it and cut it, and it's a lot. That is a significant improvement, I admit. You see how many times you write something, you decide that the fifth paragraph should be the third paragraph, and the third paragraph should be the ninth paragraph, and so you're inserting, you're cutting, and you're pasting it back together and putting it together like a jigsaw puzzle. Now you just highlight it and move it where you want it to go, and there you go. So that's been a significant improvement.
Well, a couple things about that is that, one, you can work closer to deadline, which makes life a lot easier for a lot of people, and two, you don't go home with glue all over you and your clothes and everything else.
Right.
The other thing, Dave, is the research that's available today that wasn't available when we first started. I mean, you get on the computer and you can look at anything.
Yeah, it's a world of difference. As you well remember, we had a wonderful librarian at the OD named Verge Malecki.
Yeah. And
Verge was she would clip every single article out of, at that time, both newspapers, the Daily Press and the Observer-Dispatch, and file them. And we had our own in-house library. So if John Smith was arrested, you could go back and see if he had been arrested previously. If you were doing research on Fort Stanwix, for example, you could go back and look up the Fort Stanwix file, and there would be past stories on that. And you'd get up and you'd walk across the room and you'd go to the newsroom library and you'd look it up. Now you don't have to leave your seat. You can sit at your desk all day long if you want to, because the library is all electronic. And the interesting thing, the thing I always try to tell the younger reporters is that they came into the business with electronic library in place. And when something would happen, such as, for example, back in the day when Ed Hanna was mayor, if you wanted to find something out, a lot of the younger reporters didn't know that the paper files existed. and so I can't find anything on them. And, but that's because they're in the paper, it's in the
Yeah.
paper file. And it's a wealth of information because those paper files, and I do hope that they are preserved in some form down the road because they contain information that you'll find nowhere else. Unless, I mean, it's there if you could weed through it. Frank Tomeno, who we mentioned earlier in last week's broadcast, does the history column, and Frank comes in and goes through the microfilm every week religiously. And he finds all sorts of fascinating things that is on the microfilm. But all that is just becoming that's becoming a thing of the past because everything's electronic now.
And then there's the pictures. The OD has they had some great photographers at the OD. Dante Tranquil comes to mind. I shouldn't go down this road because I'm going to leave some people off. Leo Hobaika, Mike Doherty, so many others. Who am I forgetting, Dave?
Oh, Jim Armstrong.
Jim Armstrong, yeah.
And George Widman, and Nancy Ford.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of great.
Beth Bunshank was a fabulous photographer. It's funny, when I was writing a column back when, I would always, if there was a photograph to illustrate the column, I'd always look up Beth's schedule to see when she was on, so I would get her to take the photo because she just had a knack for knowing when to press that button on the camera. We take photography because so many of us do it on our own now with the digital stuff, but we take it for granted that. But when Beth took a photo, it was I don't know, there was just something magical about it. She had such a talent and such a keen eye for knowing when to click it, and she was something.
Dave Didike is something too. We're going to take a short break. Right back.